violence and other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, in school, in my car, I can still get shot by the police. I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.
What's good, YouTube? It's the Black Gen Z Mindset. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, and let's get into the video. So, man, let's get this, bro. We've done stories on Rome, Georgia. I've done stories on Rome, Georgia. I told you guys about how country it is. You know, it's about 3 hours south of where I'm at. And, you know, it wasn't really that dangerous, but it's starting to increase in danger, you know, because a lot of brothers are going out there and getting on demon time right away. So, you know, you got to watch your back and you got to be careful in Rome, Georgia. I did the story of those guys who murdered those two girls who were said to be like sisters out there. So that was a thing, and then they ended up getting caught in Fulton County. But this story kind of is a testament to exactly how these guys are living, man, and the disregard for not only their own well-being but the well-being of the people around them. So Rome man jailed after allowing 9 children to live in deplorable conditions, leaving dog to suffer. So, you know, they had to put the dog into the title. Jarvis Darrell Adams, 36, of Rome, was jailed this week after reports said he allowed 9 children to live in deplorable conditions that included dog feces and urine, along with having no running water or food. Officers stated that there was not a functioning bathroom or toilet inside the home due to it being used as a junk room. Officers added that they also observed the shower having a floor that had fallen through and a garden tub filled with a thick liquid that moved like jello. So this is a disgusting state of living. It appears that he's like a junkie hoarder type guy. Police went on to say the kitchen was covered in mold, cobwebs, mice droppings, and feces. The children were also left with no access to clean clothing and food. 2-year-old dog was found at the home injured. Reports stated that the dog had been struck by a vehicle and was left without veterinary care. Reports added that the dog will have to have its leg amputated and was also suffering from hookworms and fleas. Adams is charged with cruelty to animals, cruelty to children in the second degree, and 9 counts contributing to the deprivation of a child, not resulting in serious injury or death. So that right there is extremely disturbing, but it speaks to how a lot of these guys are living, especially in the community. You know, we got a lot of people living in squalor situations where it didn't have to be that bad, but a lot of these guys get it to be that bad. Now, how he has 9 children, if these are his children, I'm not sure. I don't know. But, you know, there's no excuse for having kids living in a state like this.
WalletHub has recently released its report on the cities with the highest increase in homicide rates during COVID. Atlanta has seen the biggest increase.
So, guys, as you can see, WalletHub has done a study on the highest increase in homicide rates since COVID. Atlanta has had the highest increase. And Atlanta is slowly teetering toward becoming the new Chicago. And we've already exemplified who the likely suspects are in this increase in murders. And obviously it's brothers. You know, I've done so many stories from guys in Atlanta who are just on demon time. And it's pretty sad. You know, every time I go up to Atlanta, I always see some weird shenanigans going on. But I do love going up to Atlanta. It's a beautiful place. But you got to make sure that you're out there and you're protecting yourself. You're looking behind your back. Obviously, we saw the Piedmont stabbings, who they haven't found anybody for that one yet. Then there was that other story where that rapper dude, his girlfriend who was the bartender, his Asian girlfriend who was a bartender, got kidnapped, and, you know, body got dumped. And it ended up, the guy who ended up doing it was like a predator or some stuff. So Atlanta is starting to see an influx in these crimes. And, you know, we had the Rashard Brooks situation go on where the man resisted arrest, ran away, and tried to shoot an officer with his taser and ended up having his life taken away from him. We saw that situation where the gang members that he was associated with ended up protesting. They were protesting, blocked the whole road off, and when people tried to get by, they ended up shooting into someone's car and killed a 7-year-old girl. Okay, so these things in Atlanta have just been hyped up. It's just increasing. You know, we had Keisha Lance Bottoms out here, who was the mayor, I believe, and she was, you know, talking all this gibberish against police and making it even a more hostile situation in Atlanta. So there's no question in my mind, like, I'm not surprised that there is this increase in crime in Atlanta, Georgia.
Followed by Memphis, Chicago, New Orleans, Baltimore, Indianapolis, Washington, D.C., Detroit, Louisville, and Columbus.
So as you can see, all of these cities are hella woke. All these cities are hella woke. Memphis, African American leadership. Chicago, African American leadership. New Orleans, African American leadership. Baltimore, African American leadership. Indianapolis, I can't say for certain. Detroit, African American leadership. Louisville, African American. So it's like, we've got African American, we got the representation. Why are we seeing an increase in murders where there are African Americans in, you know, positions of power? And the answer is because they're Democrat. And they push these policies that are toxic toward the African American community.
The metrics used for this report include the homicides per capita in Q3 of 2021 and the change in per capita homicides. For full results, please visit wallethub.com.
Also new tonight, some frightening moments for a customer after he says that a waitress at a Waffle House pointed a gun at his head after a dispute over food. Atlanta police confirm that they're investigating the early Wednesday morning incident. Newshead reporter Eric Perry talked with that customer about the chaotic ordeal.
This customer tells me it happened at this Waffle House in downtown Atlanta, all starting over cheese eggs. He tells me the incident has left him scrambled.
So I don't know if you guys, how old you guys are, but I remember there was a song by Travis Porter, and they were talking about Waffle House, and one of the famous phrases was, hold up, excuse me, ma'am, what comes on the sausage biscuit? And it was referring to the fact that they were so drunk and high after leaving a club that they didn't know what came on a sausage biscuit. And I just kind of wanted to bring you guys to the state of the culture, because in Atlanta, after the clubs, after the moves, after all of these functions, people go to Waffle House, and a lot of times, you know, it can be a ruckus. And I know, you know, especially in the South, you know, when I was in Miami, we went to the Waffle House around 2:30, 3 a.m. and it got shot up immediately when we pulled into the driveway. So Waffle House after dark has an influx of brothers who is on demon time. They're drunk, they're high, and a lot of times this can weigh on the employees, because usually it's patrons or customers who have come to eat fighting, But in this scenario, it is the employees who are, at wit's end. They've had enough. They made as many sausage biscuits as they can. They're tired of making all-star specials. They're tired of making hash browns, with the cheese and the jalapenos and the ham on top. They're tired of it. And they're lashing out on the customers.
She was like, she'll blow my brains out.
Candy Franklin says an argument with a waitress over food sizzled out of control early Wednesday morning.
Actually, all happened over cheese eggs. They got my cheese eggs wrong. First, they didn't bring them to me. Then they brought me some normal eggs. I said, well, I had cheese on them. I tipped them and everything.
And this happens often, okay? This happens often where the woman will bring your food out wrong, and then they'll get an attitude with you about it. And, this brother, he looks like he got his stuff together or whatnot. He do got the gold teeth in, which, it kind of looks like he's a grown man trying to live that rapper lifestyle. So I wouldn't be surprised if he had his fire on him too. He probably would have pulled the strap out on her, and it would have been a standoff in the middle of the Waffle House.
And it all was just a normal dispute over food. I would never in a million years think that it'd come to gun violence.
Franklin says it happened at the Marietta Street location in downtown Atlanta. He says a simple situation cracked out of control.
Like I said, I'm looking down at my food, trying to make sure it's right. And I see people just running, So that's when I look up, and she had the gun at me like this. Then I was like, you tripping, you ain't finna do nothing. And she caught it back. So I'm like, well, maybe she is finna do something. Now it's time for me to turn the Rambo and try to get on up out of there.
Yo, so now, you heard what he said. He's laughing. He's saying, it's time for me to turn to Rambo. This situation, although it may have affected him in some way, a lot of brothers are used to it. He's laughing. He's playing like he's not distraught. It's not like he's in fear for his life. He's not even scared that she'll come back and spin the block on him. Like, he's really just laughing about the situation. And this is not a laughing matter. An employee of a Waffle House who is supposed to feed you and protect you has pulled a weapon out on you, bruh.
Atlanta police confirmed.
You tripping, you ain't finna do nothing. And she caught it back. So I'm like, well, maybe she is finna do something. Now it's time for me to turn the Rambo and try to get on up out of there.
Atlanta police confirmed.
He said it's time for him to turn into Rambo. Lord have mercy.
They are investigating the incident.
I was fearing for my life because, like I said, I had been shot before, and I just lost a brother to gun violence.
Oh, really? Who could have guessed that he had been shot and he had lost somebody in his family to not gun violence, but son violence? Shout out to Ock Nation.
So all that went through my mind.
A representative from Waffle House told me they have received a customer complaint and have launched an investigation.
No more Waffle House for me at all.
As tensions boil, Franklin is...
Y'all heard him. He's pulling up at your local IHOP and Huddle House. Hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide the cheese eggs.
Glad things weren't worse.
They must got some good eggs and cheese in there, Yeah, never that serious, never.
And I asked Mr. Franklin, what does he want to come from this situation? He says he doesn't want to see anyone behind bars, but he does want this waitress to be held accountable.
Honestly, he might have a mean lawsuit on his hands. He needs to speak with some legal representation, man, because he might be warranted some damages from Waffle House since they can't get a hold of their employees.
For her actions and punished. Of course, we'll keep you updated on the outcomes. In downtown Atlanta, I'm Eric Perry for Fox 5 News.
Breaking news in the Gabby Petito case. We just found out how and when she died. So how could this impact the case moving forward? We've got live team coverage. That's where we start at 4 o'clock. Hello, everyone. I'm David Usher.
And I'm Natalie Pasquarello. The coroner says that Gabby Petito was strangled. We also just learned she most likely died up to a month before her body was found in mid-September. Now, these details could shift the investigation as the manhunt continues for her fiance, Brian Laundrie.
So people have been telling me to do this story on Gabby Petito, and it's a wild story. Obviously, she's a blogger, and she went on a road trip with her fiance, and allegedly he's said to have strangled her. So let's get into it.
Live team coverage this afternoon. We start with News 4's Pacey Chang live in Blue Point, Long Island. Pacey.
Well, Natalie, it's the news that we have been waiting a long time to hear, something that we've always wanted to know. How did Gabby Petito die? Today, the coroner said it was death by strangulation and that her body was found 3 to 4 weeks after she was already dead. And the only person of interest in her disappearance, Brian Laundrie, has been missing for about a month.
Gabby Petito's young life ended at the hands of someone else, the Teton County coroner announcing late this afternoon.
We find the cause and manner to be death by strangulation, and manner is homicide.
Her remains were discovered on September 19th in a remote Wyoming campground. A stone cross marks the place where search teams found her body. Immediately, the coroner said it was homicide. How it happened took longer to determine.
We were waiting for various specialists to come in and help us with this investigation. We were waiting on toxicology to be returned, and it was just a matter of making sure we had everything right.
Gabby Petito.
So obviously, in the media, there have been a little, a lot of, interest in this case. And some black reporters have said, why don't people focus on the missing black girls and all this kind of stuff? And the reason why is because the same people who are asking, why don't we focus on those cases of missing colored people, is because y'all don't report on it. All you guys report on is the racially charged things, and you don't want to report on black crime because we know it's the biggest issue in the community. But they're silent about that because they know that if they do that, then it goes against their narrative that racist police and, discriminated against and systematic oppression. So, I'm not even mad that this story is getting as much coverage as it has because the people out here who are asking for people to cover these stories don't even pay attention to what's going on in their own backyard.
Never goes outside.
The 22-year-old Blue Point native was on a cross-country trip with her then-fiancé, Brian Laundrie. Their travels documented with filters and music on Instagram and YouTube.
Just been fighting this morning. Some personal issues.
But police body camera video of a call in Utah told a different story. The relationship was strained, and the two had been fighting to the point where it got physical. Gabby's family, who visited her Blue Point memorial today without speaking to reporters, were made aware of the autopsy results before today's news conference. Brian Laundrie, the only person of interest in her disappearance, hasn't been seen since mid-September, and now a worldwide search for the one person who was traveling with Gabby when she died.
I mean, it's obvious, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't want to judge anybody, but they need to get moving on this.
Liana Verticana visited Gabby's makeshift memorial today. The Centereach woman feels a kinship with Gabby.
I was in a relationship like that where somebody tried to control everything I did, so when I see the way she was acting in the videos, it reminds me of that time in my life.
And the Laundrie family attorney released this statement right after the news conference. While Brian Laundrie is currently charged with the unauthorized use of a debit card belonging to Gabby, Brian is only considered a person of interest in relation to Gabby Petito's demise. At this time, Brian is still missing, and when he is located, we will address the pending fraud charge against him.
So, guys, as you can see, they spoke about the young age that Gabby Petito had passed away. And I'm not trying to make light of her situation, but there are young African-American kids who I do stories on all day. And, you're never going to get the stories that I do on the mainstream media. But they're dying every day. Remember, we did that story on Cartavius? 7 years old. 7 years old. Sequoia Turner, 7 years old as well. We've done these stories.
Lawyer reiterating the fact that he is currently wanted on a bank fraud charge and that he is only a person of interest in Gabby's disappearance. We're live from Blue Point tonight. Paisley Cheng, News 4 New York.
All right, Paisley, well, we do wonder if the autopsy results mean anything more for him as the investigation moves forward. Investigative reporter Sarah Wallace has more of our team coverage. She's in Bohemia. Sarah?
Well, and David, as you know, the coroner didn't say very much beyond the fact that Gabby Petito died of strangulation. But that in itself could help prosecutors build an even stronger circumstantial case against Brian Laundrie.
A couple of days after searchers found Gabby Petito's body in this remote section of Bridger Teton National Forest on September 19th, the coroner ruled her death a homicide. Her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, has not been named as a suspect in her death, but he's missing, and legal experts say if he's found alive after fleeing, that's tough to overcome for a jury.
He is in flight right now. Certainly, evidence of flight is very important evidence at any trial, whether it's a circumstantial case or a direct case or both. So
Buddy did what he did and took off. He hasn't been found. You know, looks like they're searching pretty hard for him. And a lot of people try to compare this case to Jelani Day. Two very different situations. But there is a point to be made to question why this particular situation is getting so much coverage. The reason why that is because she was a blogger, she was a YouTuber, she was online, she had a heavy online presence, and she had fans and people who were following her movements. So when she came up missing, they were the ones who, you know, along with the family, who pressed on the investigatory action, and that is what led up to this media storm of, you know, looking for Gabby.
if you're his attorney, you don't commit to anything right now. What we know right now is this was no accident. This is a homicide. We don't know the degree of the homicide. We can only speculate right now. And certainly evidence of speculation and guesswork and hypothesis is not part of the trial.
The coroner says DNA was found on Petito's body.
Yeah, so now I'm looking at her Instagram and it looks like she ended up getting hella followers. Unfortunately, she passed away, but she has 1.3 million followers on Instagram. So I don't know what she had before then, but people were watching her every move.
But that may not be significant since the two were together. It could be important if it's someone else's. The FBI has not issued an arrest warrant for Laundrie for homicide.
Wow, this is crazy. Then I go to Brian Laundrie's Instagram. He was blogging up until August 13th as well. And he has almost 500,000 followers. Crazy.
Just for using Gabby's debit card after she lost contact with her family. But that could soon change.
Do you think this puts pressure on anybody who might be helping him escape?
Absolutely, and it should. You know, people don't just disappear off the face of the earth the way Brian Laundrie has. It would seem to me, given the way he lived his life, given the way he flew home to do something with his parents after Gabby went missing, it's likely that someone is helping him. Certainly to put a cause of death being strangulation, something really vicious and something so personal, that may really cause someone to say, I don't want to be helping him anymore. I don't want to be hiding him. I don't want to be assisting him. He needs to deal with this.
If Laundrie is brought in, you're going to hear a lot about the term consciousness of guilt. The fact that Laundrie didn't call her parents, didn't report her missing, and himself disappeared. All of that will be part of what the defense has to combat. The Petito family attorney did not comment to reporters today, but it is possible that he may issue a statement. Live from Bohemia, Sarah Wallace, News 4 New York.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. And our coverage of the Gabby Petito case and the search for her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, continues both in the newscast and using the free NBC4 New York app.
Gang violence and other kind of violence.